11, which is the Three Waters report. And welcome, Helen. You want to run through your key points with us?
Yeah, so this is our regular bi-monthly report on the Three Waters operations. Key points to note, we're involved with the central government reform program for Three Waters, both in terms of receiving the funding, so the 40 million stimulus funding, we have 20 million of that in the bank, and we are progressing the projects that are being funded there, so about 30 million of capital projects and about 10 million of operational projects are underway, and those are all on track. We're also providing very detailed information on our water services to the Department of Internal Affairs as part of their nationwide request for information on the infrastructure and the operation of those services for the community. That work is being done with good support from Internal Affairs and also support from the Water Industry Commission in Scotland. So they're using the people in Scotland to essentially audit and assist us with that data. We're also making progress on the Three Waters bylaw review, and as mentioned previously, we are proposing to split that into two separate bylaws going forwards, one for water supply and wastewater and the other for stormwater. A part of the driver for that is that comprehensive stormwater network discharge consent and supporting the consent conditions through a dedicated bylaw. In terms of the drinking water compliance, we've got an overview of the monitoring and progress on the revision of the water safety plans, and I'm delighted to say that since confirming this report for the committee, we have had the water safety plan for Akaroa and Takamatua approved. So that was the second water safety plan approved under the new framework in the country, so we're very pleased to have that through. And of course that provides a lot of the generic material and the risk framework template that will be used in the other water safety plans for our other community suppliers. So that's a big step forward in terms of getting those other water safety plans approved. The water conservation campaign has started, and again since this report went out and just yesterday of course we introduced water restrictions across on Banks Peninsula, and that's because we've had a long period of warm and dry weather, and the streams up behind Akaroa and Takamatua are running very low, and we're approaching our consented takes. One of the things that we have done just in the last few months is upgrade the bore, the Aylmer's bore for Akaroa, and we are getting a much better yield from that bore, so that's assisting us in maintaining continuity of supply and through to Akaroa. And then we have the overview of the capital projects underway across the district, and I'm happy to answer questions.
All right, thank you. With the bylaw reviews, the two of them now, do they have to go out for consultation?
Yes, they will.
And
they'll go to a hearings panel, but that'll be next year.
Yeah, but so you're saying that they're coming here in early March,
yes.
April? They'll go out after that.
That's correct, yep.
That's good news, isn't it, Mike? Another one. Are there any other questions for Helen on this? Mike, then Yanni.
Thank you. I'm just going to scroll back to it. The Littleton Rail Tunnel pipeline, which has costs ranging from 8 million to 300 million. How the discussions with Kiwi Rail, are they problematic or going well?
Are they going well? I don't really want to get into the details of that, but we can provide you...
No, if they're going well, that's better than what happens with other stuff, Kiwi Rail. And also, is that included on the long-term plan? That
yes.
I assume at the lower cost, at the 8 million.
It's closer to the 8 million than the 300, yes.
Oh, thank you.
The 300's a new tunnel, isn't it? Basically.
The other thing, and I'm not too sure if you have the answer on you, Grassmere, the well development, which is expected to be completed this month, but it's obviously had some delays because it was meant to be November. How's that progressing?
No, I don't have that answer.
Okay,
I'll get back to you. Grasmere will.
Thank you.
If you could send that out to the whole committee, that'd be good, Helen. Thanks, Mike.
Certainly, thank you.
Yanni?
Yeah, thank you. Just had a lot of feedback that the organics plant's been really stinky the last few days.
Sorry, can we deal with that when we go to the resource recovery report?
Oh, yeah, cool.
Yeah, I think we might have time to touch on that.
Because then I'll bring Rowan to the table as well.
Great.
Sorry, I thought you were doing them together.
Helen, with the water safety plans, we seem to be looking at lead quite a lot, lead leaching. But let's say everything else we were compliant with and we still had lead leaching, that would not require us to chlorinate, would it? Because chlorination doesn't deal with lead.
That's correct. The chlorine residual is there where there's a risk of bacterial contamination, and it has no impact on the lead.
So
The work on lead is so where we have seen high levels of lead, and it tends to be where we've got a length of that old iron main
yeah.
with the lead joints in it that has a dead end, so we're not getting water flushing through it regularly. We have rerouted some of the other mains to provide those residents, so we've dealt with the problem through that. And in other places we'll be replacing those mains. But what we're doing is upping our sampling across the city where we know we have those old mains, so that we have a better idea of what the lead levels are in the water supply.
But the lead levels could prevent our water safety plan being signed off if everything else was compliant. Is that correct?
No, that's not correct. So lead is identified as a risk. You don't have to eliminate all risks to have a water safety plan approved. What you have to demonstrate is you're managing those risks appropriately.
Okay, that's good, thank you. Any other questions for Helen? Oh, Leanne, thank you. Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you. I'm just concerned about the amount of time for the groundwater ageing process. Is there anything that we can do to help get a kind of a wriggle on in that regard?
So we have brought in additional resources to do the sampling at our end, and we have had an exchange of letters between our chief executive and the chief executive at GNS Science to try and get that work moving on. However, the bottleneck is with the technical expertise at GNS Science, and it just takes time to get the samples through, and we're not the only council, of course, that is attempting to get samples analysed and the results back.
Ours is more important than the other ones, though, because, and I don't say that with too much humour in my voice, but the reason I say that is that our ageing requirements were well known prior to the earthquakes happening. The earthquakes happened, we had a considerable amount of additional time allowed for, in fact, we weren't required to prove the ageing side of things. We lost our secure status based on the wellheads, not on this. And I'm kind of frustrated that they can't give us a bit more leeway, even if we got to a, what was the in-between secure arrangement that we had for a while?
We had provisionally secure status.
Couldn't we get provisional status just while the final works? I mean, the work is showing that it is meeting the requirements of that of the drinking water standard.
So what we've done in the sampling program is that we've prioritised it so that we get the best possible spread of samples across the city. So we've make sure that we get one sample from each of the aquifers that's being tapped at each of the pump stations before we go back and then do the other wells. So we're hopeful that before we've completed the full sampling program, we'll have sufficient information to inform the water safety plan and regain that secure status. However, we are in the hands of the experts in terms of providing that modelling back to us. But
is
yeah,
there nowhere else that we could? I mean, could we seek some additional support through Australia or something like that? I mean, are we just stuck with just the one source?
We have investigated overseas providers. However, the overseas providers would probably take longer because they don't have the background information and the context of the Christchurch aquifer system, which is also an essential component of the modelling.
All right, okay, I've asked all my questions.
Thanks, Leanne. What you mean?
Thank you, Chair. Table 2, I'm still concerned. You particularly mentioned the 3 major tasks undertaken, even you have progress 40%, 60%. But regarding overall the schedule, when will it be ready and resubmit to the drinking water assessor?
The Christchurch Water Safety Plan, that will be submitted, well, our last possible date is the 24th of December. So we're going to submit it this month. I'm reviewing the draft. When I go back to my desk, that's what I'll be going back to.
Okay, that's the whole citywide, am I right? Whole citywide, okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So, yeah, for Christchurch and
Yes.
for Littleton Harbour Basin
Yes, yeah.
settlements. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Melanie?
We will need to reply to the customer.
Yeah, I'm off the page. The thing about Littleton, it says something about the 16th of December, the wastewater getting it on track. Did you talk about that already? I just was.
The non-compliance with the wastewater
Yeah.
discharge to the
Yeah,
harbour. Yes, so yes, we have done some work on that, and yes, that is back on track and back in compliance. And the discharge is beautiful.
Cool.
And just one more from me is about City Care and their missing continuous monitoring data. So are we on top of that yet?
Yes, so that's about, so that was about a change in staff, where a previous staff member was doing the monthly checks that were required, and then a new staff member came on board and was not doing those monthly checks. So there was a gap in terms of both the documentation and training that has now been filled, yes.
Okay. Ian?
A quick one, I may have missed this, but the water safety plan will be submitted at the end of this month.
Yes.
And did you say how long it would take for some feedback about that and where we're up to and how we're going?
No, I didn't. So this will be the second time we've submitted it. So we're resubmitting this plan, so it wasn't approved the first time around.
Yeah.
However, because we've had the Akaroa Takamatua one approved, we're very confident that we have the components nailed, and it's now about evaluating how we've identified and managed the risks that are present in the plan.
And any idea how long it will take those people whose hands it is in to kind of give us that feedback, get back to us?
It will be several weeks. It's a very comprehensive plan and quite a complex water supply network that we have here in Christchurch. So yeah, they will take time, and they're likely to come down to Christchurch and visit us and workshop some of the elements of that plan and undertake site visits before it's signed off. So it'll be a comprehensive process.
They've currently got Wainui, and I think they've had that for probably 4 weeks or 5 weeks now, and we haven't heard back on that. And Wainui is obviously a little bit smaller than Christchurch, so I'm not saying that necessary size is all, but it's far more comprehensive, the Christchurch one, than Wainui. So.
Yep.
They're also undertaking a very thorough process. So there'll be a lead assessor, and then that work will be peer reviewed by another drinking water assessor, and that's to ensure national consistency in terms of the water safety plans and the standards that is required.
Thanks, Helen. And where are we at with Plan Change 7? I know that the hearings
So Plan Change 7, the hearings have been held,
in
and
November,
our staff and experts have given evidence,
Yep.
and so we need to wait for the decision on
So
that.
no timeline?
I haven't seen a timeline, but there may be one. I can check for you.
Okay, thank you. All right, if there's no more questions, I'll move Helen's report. I seconded Sarah. Any discussion? Apart from multitude of thank yous, Helen. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Opposed? That's carried. Thanks, Helen.
Thank
Good
you.
report. So we have got time to revisit the item